stay together. Hurry up!
Hello guys, it's DCHL Devin here.
And DCHL Alex.
And we're here to start the next part in Thorin's campaign, his adventure throughout the entire series of scenarios made by Games Workshop in the Hobbit Manual. Today, we're going to do The Chase.
The Chase.
And this is actually just after, if you guys don't know, just after the dwarves have just beaten the trolls. And right now, just as a recap, we have Gloin at 1 might, otherwise it's good to go. We have Bomber with no might, no will, and no fate. Actually, he has will. He has will, right?
Yes, he does.
Oh, okay. All right, so he has will. He's just out of fate. And then Nori has 1 wound, but otherwise he's good to go. So that is the stats of them for this match. And so what's the scenario for this one?
Alright, so the Chase guys, basically we have 12 Hunter Orcs, Narzug, Fimble, and Azog on White Warg against Thorin's company with Radagast on Sleigh, so that'll be exciting. There are 3 special rules, just briefly. Flee, Gandalf's command, the dwarves and Radagast have to escape, and the first turn the good models move onto the board from the cave entrance.
So that's going to be the southern side of the board, just so you guys know. So I got to go from one board, this side of the board, to the next.
Decoy, Radagast has successfully fooled the Hunter Orcs into chasing his sled. This is the scene from the movie when he kind of taunts them. Evil models must pass a courage test to charge or shoot at any other model in the good force. An evil model that fails a courage test can take no further action that phase.
So basically the easiest person to come after is Radagast. Does it say anything about wounding him? Until he has suffered a wound. So basically they actually have to hit Radagast's sleigh at least once before they can start attacking my other models. So what's the next one?
And the Hunters gather. Azog's hunters have been scouring the wilderness for Thorin and his comrades. Each turn more may well arrive. So if an evil warrior is killed at the end of the phase, the move phase, roll a d6 for each of the models put aside. On a 3+, the model may re-enter play.
Alright, so you're looking at a scenario where basically he keeps coming in. Now, the board edges that they come in are kind of random. So it's 3 up, and then, okay, so he rolls a 3 up, and then he has to roll another d6 to see where he comes in. So they are extremely random, so you'll see that a little bit. But otherwise, I got to get to the end of the board with at least 11 of my dwarves, so only 1 can die. Now, the tiebreaker is Radagast. So if I get 11 off, and then I get Radagast off as well. And Radagast doesn't have to escape from the other end. He actually can escape from the place where I started. But either way, if I can do that, then I will win the game. Otherwise, it's a tie, and if I lose 11 dwarves and Radagast doesn't make it off, I lose, actually. And I think I have until every single dwarf makes it off. So if I start to see 11 models die, then I just better just get Radagast off the field. Just hope for that tiebreaker. All right, so you ready?
Let's see what happens, yeah.
All right.
Alright guys, and we've started to deploy. For the evil force, there are a total of 3 war bands. I've deployed them on the east, west, and north board edge. So as you can see, over here we have Fimble and 3 Hunter Orcs and Fell Wargs. Toward the north edge, we have Narzug and 4 Hunter Orcs and Fell Wargs. That Fell Warg does have a Hunter Orc on it. We just had 1 less model, so he is mounted. And on this side, we have Azog, who is bold, because we don't have the mounted Azog version, just so you guys are aware. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Hunter Orcs on Fell Wargs. Alright, so that's evil deployment. Let's go to the good side.
Now, just so you know, guys, I'll be playing the good side, and Alex will be playing the evil. So now, good won't actually be lined up like this, but I just wanted to cinematically show it. Thorin's company will be coming out of this cave entrance right here. This is actually where they left off with the the Tom, Bill, and Bert scenario. And Radagast will also, for some reason, be coming out of that entrance as well. That's perfectly fine. But we'll be showing you step by step every stage that's going down. I have to make it actually to that end of the board where his other wargs are. So eventually I'm going to run into these guys. So pretty much I just want to stay away from that guy. Just so you know, Bolg is actually not Bolg for this match. It is actually Azog. Azog, I know he has a different size base. Unfortunately, our Azog model is away at the moment, so we will have to use Bolg as a replacement. He's pretty suitable enough. They look very similar. So let's get started.
Alright guys, and we're at the end of turn 1 for the evil side. All the war bands are coming into the center to stop the dwarves' advancement. So they literally move their full distance and kind of in a spread out manner so that they can block all the flanks.
Alright, and unfortunately, because he went and moved first, there's not a lot I can do here. I went ahead and said Radagast, because he has to kind of chase him, send him off to the side. There's only really Thimble here and 4 wargs. I think Radagast can take them without being wounded. The rest of the dwarves, I know it sounds cliche, but I pretty much just marched them up right up the middle. I got to do a heroic march. As of the last game, I get to do a heroic march, but guys, that isn't very fast. I mean, because of Bilbo, I can only really move like 7 inches. The rest of the dwarves went as fast as they could. Gandalf saw Azog coming in. Remember, Bolg is proxy for Azog. And he fired a Sorcerer's Blast at him, actually rolling 2 will, total of 3, but his staff, of course, took 1 away. And used even a point of might to get it to a 6. Unfortunately, Azog just rolled 2 dice for will and easily deflected that away. Yeah. So completely resisted that. It was actually kind of sucks because I was really looking forward to just getting him off that warg and easily just smacking through the other warg riders. So unfortunately, the chase begins. Alright guys, so this is turn 1. This is actually just before the fight phase. I wanted to give you guys a recap of what happened here. Now, unfortunately, the Hunter Orcs, we weren't sure if they actually had bows or not, but after looking it up, it never really specified that they did. So we're not going to say that they actually have bows. They actually instead lined up. They were actually too short to charge Thorin's company, as they were too short on distance. However, Azog was not. Azog actually made his full distance toward Bomber, and that's actually really horrible news. So this is actually just before the fight phase, as I said. Bilbo used a point of might to encourage all his friends to move faster. They were trying to get out there as quick as possible. And Ori actually took a pot shot at these charging wargs. Some of the wargs have taken the bait for Radagast to Brown. And Ori actually knocked Thimbles. He actually rolled a 5 and used a point of might to get that to a 6. Making it an auto wound, and then rolled a 2 actually to get the warg. So basically, Thimble fell right off his warg. It was actually pretty awesome. Radagast is getting caught up with this warg, so we'll see what happens. But so far, it's really not looking good. I mean, the wargs are really starting to corral them right in. Alright, and so the first turn is finally over, and one looming question remains on this entire match. Why the hell is Azog in this match? We actually discussing this. Me and Alex realized that Azog shouldn't even be here. Like, he's coming in here crushing dwarves.
He almost ended the campaign.
He pretty much almost did. He came in, killed Bomber, called a heroic fight, and then attacked Bilbo. And we're like, what the hell? Wait a minute, why is Azog even here? This guy was never even in the thing. So, word to the wise for you guys, if you happen to play in the, is that your phone? That's Alex roxing his heavy metal. You see this AC/DC guy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we just realized that he really should not even be here. So, but he is. So we're gonna go ahead and play it out. If he had ended the campaign, then I don't know what we would have done, but he didn't. What happened was, Azog used a might, pretty much beat Bomber with no problem, rolling plenty of 3s to just crush him. Then he went into the fight with Dory and Bilbo. Now, probably engaging Dory was a bit of a mistake, but I don't think he had a choice, actually, because of the zones. Because Dory managed to call a heroic strike, where Azog couldn't follow up, because he already did a heroic fight. Therefore, Dory went to a fight of 10, and the dwarves managed to push him back, and even actually cause a wound, which was saved by fate, by Azog. So, Radagast is actually probably doing a lot better over here. Radagast managed to also call a heroic fight with his combat, and then ran right into Thimble. Thimble called a heroic fight, but rolled a 4 as his best result, and then Radagast just pretty much crushed him. Unfortunately, Radagast also rolled a really, really low roll, and used all his might to beat Thimble, because we didn't want to be wounded, so that way we wouldn't be charged by a bunch of other wargs. Because remember, I have terror as long as Radagast is in play. But other than that, we will see what happens actually to these dwarves now that we know that this guy who shouldn't even be here is causing this just reign of terror all over my men.
Alright guys, and in the second turn here, we had quite a mess. Azog is on the ground from a
panic steed.
Panic steed from Radagast. So he's on the ground. The White Warg stays and fights with his Raging Beast rule. And then the dwarves surrounded them. They're completely engulfed, but dwarves. Azog's got Thorin, Biffer, Dwalin, and is that Oin?
No, it's Nori.
Oh, Nori, yeah. So that's pretty tough right there. I was able to pass a courage test and get it on Thorin to peel him off. And then remember, I have to pass courage tests to charge because I still haven't taken out the Slay of Radagast.
You don't have to take him out. You just have to cause a single wound.
Right.
Unfortunately, you haven't caused that.
Single wound, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you did engage the Slay though. So he's coming in. Actually, one of the guys from who died ended up coming back on this board edge.
Yep.
So otherwise, the wargs are still coming in. This is actually kind of a bizarre situation that's happening. Gandalf had to transfix the White Warg, and Azog is on the floor, so we're just pummeling the hell out of him, trying to get that combat. Ori managed to take out another Warg, and actually a Rider as well. So that's gone pretty well so far, but we'll see. So far, I'm pretty stuck in this zone. I have to kill Azog if I have any chance of winning or any hope of winning. Alright, and after a hectic second round, we have probably one of the craziest turn of events ever. Thorin's company has killed Azog. Obviously, Azog's going to come back in future rounds, but Thorin and all of them... Thorin ended up getting charged by the other guy, the Hunter Warg that came from behind. But he called a heroic fight and then joined into Azog's fight. And Azog rolled a terrible roll. I guess after being swarmed by dwarves, maybe he just didn't want to fight any longer. He rolled a 1-1 and a 2, I think it was. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. All right. And so then Transfixed White Warg wasn't going to last very much longer. Narzug actually did a tremendous job. He did a heroic strike, and Philly followed up with that. But actually, they both rolled 6s, and then the roll result for a tie went to Philly. And Philly killed the Warg and caused a wound on Narzug. Philly also called a heroic strike for this. We'll have to go into what the Might, Will, and Fate is at the end because these guys are burning out completely. Lastly, the fight with Radagast ended with Radagast killing his 2 opponents and no damage still to him, so everyone is still terrifying. On to the next round. And for the end of turn 3, the Thorin's company has pretty much annihilated almost every single Warg in the area, but honestly at a cost of a huge amount of might. I have to say that actually the Wargs probably won every single fight, rolling a 6, and Thorin's company having to might a 5 to a 6 despite superior numbers. There's only 2 Wargs left on the field on this end, but remember the Wargs are going to continue to come back. Radagast remains a constant nuisance as he is still yet to even be wounded, killing 2 more Wargs in the process of Alex trying to beat him. Alex, how are you feeling about this match so far?
It's a lot tougher than I thought. I mean, Azog's dead. So.
Yeah, that dude, Azog was a pain in the butt in the beginning.
At the same time, there's still a lot of ground you have to cover, and I come back every turn.
Alright, well, let's see if I can get through this with all my dwarves. Remember, I can right now go for the tiebreaker. I have lost 1 dwarf, yes, but Radagast is still alive. So let's go for it. And for the end of turn 4, we have this result here. The dwarves are quickly making their way up the middle here. They still have 11 dwarves minus bombers, so we're still good to go on the tiebreaker. This orc was transfixed by Gandalf on the way, and Radagast killed another orc on a fell warg. He was actually right here. He crushed him, and the wargs were actually chasing Radagast down still. So actually, I guess it's kind of getting cinematic at the moment. And now we have another pack of wargs that have just shown up. 4 of them have rolled a 3-up to come in, and they will be chasing me down very soon. The dwarves are exhausted. I'm going to tell you guys I am running out of might on almost everyone. I know I haven't been keeping track of it for you guys, but that's because they've just been burning it up completely. I actually forget who I used it with. Dwalin actually used it. I mean, it's getting that bad where I'm using even my fighter heroes to just call heroic marches. So let's see if I can make it off this board in time. Guys, I have another 2 feet to go, and for a dwarf, that's eternity. And the dwarves on turn 5 are constantly being chased by hunter orcs. This one you see on the ground here, Radagast managed to panic his steed and make him run away. Radagast is kind of running with them now at this point, and I mean, they're just... I mean, what was it? How many inches did you say I have left till I get off the field, Alex?
For the last guy, it's 20, so 3 turns.
Wow, all right. So I'm not making it off anytime soon. And your warg, I actually transfixed that one that you see in the back there again. He still not moving, which is good for me. It managed me to get this far. And 3 more wargs have shown up, so these guys keep on coming. I will get off this board. All I have is wargs now. No Azogs, Fimbles, and Narzugs. So let's see what we can do. And as a recap for turn 6, Radagast managed to just crush in here and take out one of the Warg Riders and his Warg, plus, but one of the Wargs actually stayed in. I guess he's still ready for some rabbit. And then we got Thorin's Company. Thorin's Company has made it this far. They're extremely close to the board edge. Unfortunately, the Wargs actually managed to come in here. 2 of the Wargs attacked Buffer. Seems like Alex is going for the approach of kill 1 more Dwarf and he can win this game. Pretty effective strategy at this point. He's still chasing me down. I have, how many more inches is that? I think it's like less than a foot.
For your last guy, you have 13 inches.
13 inches left to go. And the next turn, gentlemen, and probably one of the last. Thorin is making the valiant last stand. I actually noticed that even though I went first in this match, I got priority. I called a heroic march to move them further. Keep in mind, guys, I've been calling heroic marches every single turn. That's how I've been getting here so quickly. I've been burning out every single hero, and like I said, at the end of this match, I'll give you the recap. But Thorin actually was in a combat with these 2 Warg Riders right here. And he actually lost his combat, unbelievably enough, and ended up getting knocked around. No wounds, though. Philly ended up winning his combat, killed the rider who rode this Warg here. Radagast killed the second Warg Rider on this one, but otherwise didn't do any more wounds. And this is hopefully the last turn of the game. We will see, though. Depends on who gets priority. Alright guys, last turn of the game. Actually, it would have been the end. However, Thorin was knocked to the ground in the previous phase. Every dwarf was able to make it off other than Thorin. So instead, I decided to pull a last stand. Dwalin, Gloin, and Thorin stood tall, the strongest of the dwarves. I decided to line them up just like this, with Biffer Spear supporting in the middles, just to give it to whoever I needed it. And they actually managed to push off everyone. Dwalin actually lost his fight, but a single Warg wasn't able to pierce his armor. And Thorin actually managed to kill his target, and Gloin killed his. And the next turn, priority was rolled, and Thorin's Company won. They are off the board. That is the end of the game. Alright guys, and now we're at that part of the campaign where we go ahead and tell you the might, will, and fate for all the characters. Remember, this is a campaign continuation, so everything I burnt out during this entire match for the chase is going to carry over. So this is actually going to be pretty tough for me as I try to save as much might, will, and fate as possible. This is why, actually, you didn't see it throughout the match because of the filming style of these matches, but I tried to distribute the might, will, and fate, or actually just the use of might, across all my characters, because every single character is going to roll a d3. That d3 contributes back to their wounds, might, will, or fate. If they die, like Bomber did, then they have to roll a 4-up, or see what happens actually based on that. So, the last thing that actually comes into play is most audacious fellow and more burglar than more a baker than a burglar. Actually, I'm sorry, I apologize. I have to actually read that rule again. But those are the 3 rules that will come into effect here. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first one is Thorin. And for Thorin Oakenshield, he has in total used only 2 might per this entire game. However, he has also been nominated for most audacious fellow, which means that he performed the best in this match. I mean, we're talking he managed to pull off heroic fights and then kill Azog, and then also pull off the last stand at the end to allow all his teammates to move forward. We think that he definitely deserves this title, so instead of a D3, he gets a D6 for his role. And unfortunately his D6 is a 1. So he will actually go back up to only 2 might. And the next one up is Dwalin. Dwalin also only used 1 might. Well, actually he used 1 might, whereas Thorin used 2 during the match. Dwellin didn't have to expend much energy, which is kind of weird, but actually it's just because he didn't need to use might in order to roll to win. He ended up crushing Azog under the full weight of his hammer. I mean, he only needed 3s pretty much. 5 on 5 is a 4, and then he has Burly. So it wasn't hard for him at all. He will be back at full strength for the next fight. Next, we have Philly. Philly used all of his might during this match, so let's see how well he rested up. And we got a 3, which means he gets everything back. His might, will, and fate is completely restored. And next we have Killy. Killy only used 1 might in this match, just to call a Hura combat, actually, I believe, against Narzug. So he didn't have to do very much. He is back at full strength for the next match. Next we have Boffer. Boffer is actually only using 1 might for this round, so he also will come back at full strength. And then we have Biffer. Biffer used 2 points of might for this round, so we're going to go ahead and see what he comes back with. And he rolled a 4, so he is back at full strength. Next, we have Balin. Balin actually managed to use quite a bit of his will in this one because he needed to re-roll some of those priority rolls. Unfortunately, gaining priority was real important, so he used 1 will and 1 might during this match. So let's go ahead and see what his roll is to see if he gets it both back. And unfortunately, he got a 2. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and lose 1 of his will and bring back his might. It's probably going to be a lot more important for me in the long run. Next, we have Oin. Oin actually used everything up. I mean, this guy has lost all of his will and his might. It was really important to get a lot of those banner rolls. Sorry about that. Really important to get a lot of those banner rolls that you see happen later in the game. I mean, he had to use them against the Zog, against the White Warg, a lot of that. So pretty much he is completely burnt up on a lot of different things. He won't even be able to get all his stats back. But let's see what he does get back. Wow, awesome. That's a great result. I get the maximum back, so I get 1 might and 2 will. Alright, and next we have Bomber. So Bomber really can't catch a break in this one. It seems like he just has the worst of luck for everything. So, I mean, last match he got nominated for more a grocer than a burglar. And for this match, he was killed by a Zog. Charged, second turn in, just crushed. Used just as a slingshot to get into Bilbo's face. So he's really having some terrible luck here. Let's go ahead and see if he stays dead. And 4. Alright then, so that means he recovers. The model recovers with well enough to persevere, and he is restored with 1 wound. He will be able to participate in the next match. Next, we have Nori. Nori actually didn't do too much. He just used 1 point of might in this match. But if you guys remember, he also suffered a wound. So he actually he had a wound left over from previous games. So or a wound caused. So he actually has 2 points he has to make up in this case. So let's see if he gets that back. I apologize. Reroll for the little pothole, and he does not. So it's either between a wound and a might. And for this one, I think I'm going to go ahead and choose a might. So he'll get his might back. He's back at 2 might, and he's good to go. Next, we have Gloin. Gloin, if you guys remember, actually, it was only 1 might left from the previous match. And in this match, he was completely burnt out. He really spent everything he had. So let's go ahead and see if he gets any of it back. 6. He is back at full strength. And next we have Ori. Ori actually did quite a bit during this match. He killed quite a few guys and used a lot of his stats up. So Ori is actually, he used 1 of his might, none of his will actually in this case. And actually really helped out some of the other heroes gain their might back. Actually, he let Dory have all of his might back. He did actually pretty well. Every time one of these heroes kills... one of Thorin's company kills a hero within 3 inches of Ori, one gains their might, will, and fate back. And there's no Dory nominated throughout that. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that during the battle. But he actually will not have to roll due to the fact that he only lost 1 point of might. So he's good to go. Next, we have Dory. Now, as mentioned before, and originally Dory would have been a problem here. He'll have to roll for it because he had lost 2 points of might, but Ori gave it back to him. So no big deal on that part. They would have gotten another point of might for Fimble, but Fimble was killed by Radagast, for those who remember. And so he is good to go.
All right, and for the special rule, more of a grocer than a burglar, I nominated Bilbo. He was charged by Azog and the White Warg, and if it wasn't for all his friends, he'd be dead. So
and that pretty much would have been the end of the entire campaign.
Right there.
So for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, Bilbo Baggins, you get nothing. All right, guys. So that's the end of all of that, and I'm gonna let you know that was actually a tougher match than I thought it would be.
Might, Will, and Fate burnt out.
I burnt everything. If you guys saw through the rundown, I mean, pretty much everybody was out of Might, Will, and Fate, and it was an absolute nightmare. What did you think of the match?
Well, for Azog's Hunters, I rolled that 2-1-1 when Azog was on the ground, and it was pretty much downhill from there. I did put up a couple good fights, those last 2 feet, but it wasn't enough for Thorin's company.
I think you were going. What were you going to kill? One more dwarf, right? I assume.
One more. I got Bomber with Azog, but that was it.
That was actually kind of funny. He just leaped on, and that's actually the one thing about this this match. Okay, so we kind of discussed it quite a bit, and whether or not we should have Azog at all.
Right.
Azog seems to be not supposed to be in here. It seems like it was supposed to be Yazneg, but Yazneg's rules were made a year later. So
true.
It's kind of weird because it doesn't say he's on a White Warg.
I mean, originally we were talking about how the points-wise, though, this was an unfair match for Azog's Hunters.
It is, yeah.
So
But I don't think it's supposed to be fair just because you're supposed to be whittling me down, not completely beating me to a pulp. But
and that was the cinematic aspect of it, too.
Right? But then again, even with Azog, you still ended up losing, and actually I ended up pulling off a win because I got Radagast off the field. So, to be fair, you're probably better off with Azog. So I guess when you guys play this match in the future, if you want the cinematic version, I would recommend Yazneg. Just go ahead and use Yazneg's rules. However, if you want kind of a more competitive atmosphere, let's say you guys just want to do this as a standalone mission, definitely pick Azog. And actually go ahead and put him on the White Warg too. It doesn't strictly say he gets the White Warg, but I think, what did you think? Do you think you would have...
You would assume, yeah. I mean, because that model was released with the White Warg. And,
yeah. I think there was a typo and maybe a bunch of misprints or reprints or something between the scenarios and his profile. So,
but yeah, next scenario, there's a lot of Might, Will, and Fate that I may not have to deal with, so... Which represents the long, hard journey on the dwarves,
Exactly.
Like in the movies, so it's kind of neat.
And before we end this, what is the next scenario we have?
After the chase, it's the capture. We're going in after some goblins.
All right, then.
30 of them.
This isn't Goblin Town itself, is it?
No, this is a...
Actually, it looks like corridors.
It's
stuff like
caves. That. Caves and rocky ledges.
It's actually kind of interesting. All right, well, we'll see how that goes.
I'll build some rocks.
All right, we'll build some non-grassy terrain. So join us next time. We'll go ahead and film that at the end of this week.